In preparation for the training program you're about to take, we would encourage you to have a current copy of the coaching guideline document that is available in the video description link, or you can obtain a copy by visiting the Big Country Soccer Association website at www.bigcountrysa.com. Once you're at that site, go to the coaching resource page and you can obtain your copy there. The other document we would like you to have is the Coach Orientation Reflection Form. And again, this is found on the Big Country Soccer Association website on the forms page, or you can download a copy in the video description. This training program was prepared for you in order for Big Country Soccer Association to be in compliance with our Standards for Quality Soccer, or SQS for short. This is a certification process by Canada Soccer Association that requires all clubs and/or associations to meet a standard of excellence for providing a safe soccer program, ensuring safe and inclusive soccer development for a lifetime. As you follow along in this presentation, you will see this icon in the bottom of the slides with a page number. This icon will let you know what page of the coaching guideline document we are in so that you can follow along with the presentation and the guideline together. If you have everything you need, then let's get started. Just like when we discussed the importance to be prepared for practices, it is recommended that as the coach, you also establish routines and conduct for your team on game day. The following chapter outlines general points for coaches on typical pre-game duties in support of your role as a coach. Just like when we discussed on the chapter on practices about being early to prepare for the session, Big Country Soccer Association also recommends the same routine on getting ready for games, starting with arriving at the game location a minimum of 30 minutes before the game. This gives you the opportunity to look at the field if there are no games being played, and start your routine on getting your team organized and what I call switched on for the game. One of the more critical things to develop for your team is a warm-up session. I cannot tell you how many times I have seen player injuries during games and practices simply because players were not properly warmed up. For those teams that are U9 and older, Big Country Soccer Association has made available to coaches the FIFA 11 Plus warm-up program. This can be found on the Big Country Soccer Association coaching resource page. There are warm-up drills that you can develop a pre-game warm-up routine on in order to get players properly warmed up for the game. I recommend printing out this drill sheet, laminate it to protect it from the elements, and have it available in your game bag so it's always there for you. As mentioned earlier, a good routine before game time is to walk the field and ensure that any foreign objects or hazards are identified. This is to help protect your players from injury. When parents arrive, their routine should be to set up on the opposite side of the field. Remember, they're spectators, and you need to be able to coach your team without interruptions. If you have a team manager, the team manager can help ensure that this is enforced within the parent group. If you are the home team, you will also need to have volunteer parents help set up the nets. Again, if you arrive early enough, all of this can be dealt with long before the game, allowing you as the coach time to get with your players in preparation for the game they are about to play. Part of your pregame routine will also need to inspect your players as they arrive to ensure they have everything they need for the game. Looking at their soccer equipment, uniforms, and ensure they have proper water or other sport-specific fluids available to help rehydrate them throughout the game. Remember, carbonated beverages should not be permitted. Remember when we covered having the players get into a routine of organizing their bags? Well, when arriving at the game field, getting the players to do the same routine is important. It projects teamwork and organization. One of the documents that should also be available with the coach or the team manager is the player medical information form. This form helps provide a brief history of the player so that if there is an injury, the coach or the team manager have all the basic information to ensure proper emergency attention to the injured player. For example, allergies. The player medical information form is found on the Big Country Soccer Association website on the forms page. In a previous chapter, we touched in on call-ups. Call-ups are an important support to teams when there are low in numbers and need players to fill the roster for games. The call-up process is simple, but must be followed at Big Country Soccer Association. Let's look at this further. If a team needs to have a call-up player, the acceptable method is only coach-to-coach contact. At no time is a coach to go to the parents of a player in the lower age group to ask if they would like their player to come up and play a game. The coach of the call-up player will have more information that is important for the coach who needs a call-up. Information such as if the player has any disciplinary issues on their current team, have they missed any games, or practices. Call-ups are a special privilege that can only be given by the coach. Unless the team is short players, call-ups are never guaranteed a starting position. Additionally, if a coach calls up players, the call-up players must be played just like every other player on the team. However, there are specific considerations on this point covered in the coaching guidelines on game day guidelines. So now, as a coach, the big day is here and you have a game. This is where you're able to watch your team take to the pitch and enjoy watching them play. However, there are some general guidelines that need to be followed on game day to allow for that enjoyment to be present. Let's review those general game day guidelines in this chapter. I cannot tell you how many times in games I've seen the opposition coach not demonstrate good sportsmanship and character. What made it more shocking is the team often reflected some of the characteristics of their coach. It is important to understand that you are an ambassador of the sport, your team, your community, and of Big Country Soccer Association. Now, I know there are times where you may want to let loose because of a bad call or something that was uncalled for in the game, but you must remain in control in order to ensure your team is also demonstrating how you wish your team to behave. Remember, all players must have the opportunity to play. Those teams that are in Tier 4, equal playtime is supported by Big Country Soccer Association and Alberta Soccer. As players move up to Tier 3 and higher, playtime is given based on what's going on in the game. More structured tactical elements are present at those levels, and the coach may require specific shifting of players to meet the tactics of the game. However, coaches are required to ensure that players are available for games, are provided with on-field time as a contributing member of the team. During playoff games and provincials, Alberta Soccer does not enforce equal playtime requirements, and it's up to the coach to determine playtimes based on the game. There is a trend in the sport where match officials are being abused by players, team representatives, and spectators. Remember, a match official may not see everything based on their position on the pitch, which is different from where you're positioned as a coach. Additionally, you may not see something that the match official does see because of their position compared to yours. Regardless, match officials are there to maintain order and officiate the game to the best of their abilities and the FIFA laws. Number one thing to know about match officials: sometimes errors happen. They are people who are there to support the game being played. If you have questions, ask for an explanation of the call or observation at full time. Do so in a polite and non-confrontational manner. Now, during the season, you may also play a team that may not be as skilled as your team. Try and avoid running up the score. Use the game as a time to make adjustments and work on things in the game. For example, 10 complete passes before a shot on goal. It's not fun running up the score for either team. Remember, there may be a situation where your team is the one faced with a team superior to you. And above all, remember to have fun. Regardless of performance, it takes courage for young players to get out there and play organized soccer. Encourage your team on and support them. How you handle the team after the game is just as important. As a coach, develop your own routine. Remember to congratulate your players for their courage on taking to the pitch to play the game. This will help the development of the character of your players. Regardless of the score, ensure that feedback is balanced. Be mindful of your energy when you're communicating with the team. And for those players who came out in support of your team as call-ups, make sure to thank them. Congratulate them on their play. Remember, in a play-up situation, you may be calling up players from an age group below yours. So for those players to join your team to play requires a tremendous amount of courage and desire to play. Recognize that. Remember the importance of acknowledging the opposition and match official. Shake their hands. Sportsmanship matters and is a reflection on you as the coach. Before players leave with their parents, give them any reminders they need. For example, when is the next practice? As mentioned in earlier chapters, even on game day, it's a good idea for a coach to have routines. Develop your routine and have a fun experience on game day. Please complete section 12 through 14 on the Coach Orientation Reflection Form. As mentioned earlier, go to the Big Country Soccer Association website and locate the FIFA 11 Plus program. Congratulations, coaches, on completing part 6 of the coaching orientation of the Coaching Guidelines by Big Country Soccer Association. Once you've completed the Coach Orientation Reflection Form, let's move on to part 7 in this orientation series.